I made my first VPS server, or rather, I didn't make it, I deployed it on the internet. And that's despite the fact that I've never used Linux and I don't know any terminal commands besides sudo or cd to change folders. I'm going to explain why I decided to take this step. I already have my own website where I write articles, manage it, optimize it, and tweak the code using CSS and JavaScript. At the time, that felt like the peak of what I could do, but now, thanks to a VPS, I've stepped up to a whole new level. This is a completely new experience I've never had before. The most I've done previously was run local bucket servers for Minecraft, World of Warcraft 3.3.5 or Half-Life. And now I can do all that on the VPS remotely with 24/7 uptime. At some point I'll definitely build my own local server, aka homelab, to scale things up, because hosting providers always have limits on virtual CPUs, RAM and disk space. But for now this is enough for me. And by the way, I've gotten really interested in HP EliteDesk's mini PCs. I've seen tons of videos about them on YouTube. Enthusiasts use them as emulation solutions, media servers, or for hosting any game worlds like Valheim, Minecraft, Enshrouded, 7 Days to Die, anything you want. This machine is cost effective for sure. Put it simply, I'm so ready to buy one and dive into all this like a 5-year-old kid playing with sand in the yard. Other solid options include B-Link, Minis Forum, GMK Tech. Some of these PC offer Ryzen processors with plenty of cores and threads. I even made a comparison list of all possible CPUs I could buy. Of course, this data doesn't represent the actual performance specifically for my tasks, but it surely helps me to pick the best workhorse in terms of value and performance. 7840HS, for example, is a beast for all kinds of tasks, where 6800U offers high efficiency per watt. I'm not even sure if I need that much cores, but these Ryzen processors I mentioned before would make my server future-proof, and if something goes wrong with the server, I could turn this machine into a regular PC for basic office tasks and casual games. So in the end I decided to buy this little guy for just 200 euros directly from China. It took about a month to arrive, but it was definitely worth the wait. It is still too early to say how I'll fully use it in practice, but the hardware already feels more than powerful enough for everything I need. But a local server has its own surprises, security and setting up external access while keeping everything hidden from prying eyes. That's especially true for WordPress, which is wildly popular among users and shameless hackers. Installing it on a local machine has its perks. You can safely test multiple WordPress instances for one, but hosting it online is a whole other story. Anything can go wrong here. Even a misconfigured basic setting like DNS, reverse proxy or port forwarding can lead to unfortunate consequences. I wouldn't call myself an advanced IT specialist or programmer. I've actually got a linguistics degree, but I've always enjoyed managing websites, servers or forums. VPS isn't just about running a server, it gives you complete freedom to choose your services. I can install WordPress, launch a VPN server and sell access to it, or say create my own file storage with a file converter and not pay a cent, unlike something like Google Drive with their subscriptions. Setting up a VPS from scratch and connecting other services to it feels like a Lego for adults. Even when something doesn't work, I enjoy digging into the root of the problem, studying documentation and finally solving it so everything runs 100%. It all started with one Minecraft video by Adrian, where he showed how to turn an old smartphone into a game server. I happen to have an old phone lying around, a very old Xiaomi Redmi 5A from 2017, equipped with a Snapdragon 425 CPU, 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of storage. This phone has been through fire and water and a bunch of ROM flashes, first Lineage OS, then Pixel Experience. Jumping ahead a bit, I'll say right away that my plan failed. I couldn't even install the basic tools needed to launch a server because of the limited storage space. And the SD card didn't help either, so I decided to scale down the experiment. I turned the smartphone into a local VPN server instead. Using the Termux terminal, I installed the basic VPN with X-Ray core for the VLS and VMAS protocols. After diving into documentation, watching a few videos and getting some help from ChatGPT, I managed to get a working VPN up and running. It connected over a USB cable and actually transmitted traffic. However, the speed left much to be desired and I never intended to turn the phone into a fully fledged 24/7 server. But still, this result was enough for me to believe in myself and keep moving forward. So when I decided to take my passion to the next level by hosting my own VPS, it felt like a natural step. And let me tell you, it was an adventure filled with excitement, challenges and a whole lot of learning. So why did I want to host my own VPS? Well, for starters, I'd been running small gaming servers on my local PC for a while. You know, the usual games, Minecraft, Core Keeper, Half-Life. These servers were used by me and my friends from time to time, but since some of them live in a different time zones, it was hard to coordinate playing together in the same world. A VPS solved that problem. You can access it from anywhere as long as you got the IP address and the right password. And beyond that, I managed to build a simple, good-looking landing page that shows my server status. Incredible to say the least. Hosting on a local machine is of course great for the budget. You are just using your own PC, and besides internet and electricity costs, it is basically free. But I wanted something more robust, something that could handle more players and stay online even when my PC was off. Plus, I'd been learning web development and I needed a place to showcase my skills. A VPS was the perfect solution. It is like having your own little computer on the internet, one that you can fully control and customize however you like. You just can't do that with the typical web hosting plans. They lock you into a narrow use case, deploying websites with cPanel for example and not much else. But with the VPS, it is your game, your rules. I like the idea of being in charge, setting everything up the way I want it, and of course the challenge of figuring it all out. I still have a long road ahead and I haven't even tried out things like Proxmox, TrueNAS, Grafana and other cool homelab tools yet. Now let's talk more about the VPS itself. Picking where to host my virtual server was tough. There are so many options. Hostinger, Netcap, OVH Cloud, DataLeaks, Hetzner, Oracle with its free tier, and many others. Sure, I could have just picked the first provider I found, but my budget was tight. So before making a final decision, I took time to organize the info, analyze reviews, and go through user feedback. My first choice was Oracle, since they offer an always free plan if you deploy a machine on ARM architecture, but that didn't suit my needs. And beyond that, I couldn't even spin up another instance because of their capacity limits. As far as I remember, they also had a setup with 1 vCPU and 1 gig of RAM. Sadly, it wasn't really responsive and I crashed it the moment I tried to install a dashboard on it. I know some people manage to run Oracle Cloud for months without paying a cent, but there is a risk. If your instance uses less than 20% of CPU or stays inactive for a week, you can lose all your data. So yeah, Oracle is perfect for experiments and personal pet projects, but I needed something more efficient and stable. That's why I went with the German provider Hetzner. Hetzner offers affordable plans with several server options. I didn't even have to pay anything up front to start using their services. It works on a pay-as-you-go model. You are billed based on your actual usage, not monthly or yearly in advance. So on my VPS I decided to install the Coolify dashboard, which is still in beta. I don't know why, but I liked it because of its list of integrations. There are other interesting dashboards out there too, like Homepage, CasaOS, WebMin, Cockpit Project, EasyPanel, CloudPanel, CyberPanel, and more. For now, I'm using Coolify. I like Coolify, it is cool, I guess. But there are some problems. It is not lightweight and it's definitely not bug free. It eats up over 50 megabytes of RAM. I also ran into technical issues that I still haven't resolved completely, specifically the WebSocket issue in the terminal. The dashboard constantly throws errors saying that it can't connect to real-time services. I've spent weeks researching this problem, read countless GitHub issues, Reddit threads, and forum posts. I changed DNS settings servers, set up Cloudflare tunnels, reordered host names, opened and closed ports. I even edited the environment variables and configs, and it still doesn't work. ChatGPT and Gemini also couldn't help, even after I provided detailed feedback and screenshots. That said, I don't use the terminal that often except for my Minecraft server, which uses Archon CLI, but it still pains to see all those VSS errors in my DevTools. Sometimes I think I made a mistake starting my VPS journey with Coolify. Now all my Docker services run through this panel, and I'm afraid switching to a different dashboard will only make things worse, because I don't know how to migrate containers along with all their data. Most likely if I try to install another dashboard over Coolify, I'll run into even more problems. Right now, honestly, I don't know what to do. If you have any advice, please leave a comment under this video. Once I installed Coolify using a command in the terminal through PuTTY, I started setting up Cloudflare and the DNS addresses. Everything was pretty straightforward, and it seemed like the only thing left was to install services for my needs. But in my life, nothing even goes according to plan. Eventually I moved on to setting up a Minecraft server. Since I already had my world saves on my local PC, I decided to upload them straight to the VPS using file browser. But things didn't go as smoothly as I thought. The server started throwing permission errors and file read errors. It simply refused to start. Later I found out that the server runs under 1k:1k, but the files I uploaded via file browser were created as root:root. The fix seemed obvious: learn a few Linux commands, change the ownership of the world files and plugins to user 1k, and done. But for some reason, or maybe due to my own carelessness, I managed to overwrite permissions on some system files. I didn't think much of it until my dashboard completely crashed and SSH access was lost. And on top of that, I didn't have a snapshot of the server. There was no way to revert to a previous state, and I didn't create this snapshot because I was so sure I hadn't finished setting everything up yet. I was devastated. I had already spent nearly a week of my time on this VPS. Dozens of hours of painstaking work, following guides, reading docs late into the night, sleepless hours, gone. I even posted about it on Reddit to discuss my situation. Most users simply advised me to start from scratch. Luckily, thanks to Hetzner's built-in web console, I was able to connect to the server. I restored root ownership to the system folders, which helped regain SSH access, but that was it. The dashboard still wouldn't load in the browser, and I couldn't restart the services. There was only one way out: rebuild the VPS and start all over again. The second time around, everything went much smoother. I reinstalled Coolify, set up all the services, configured the ports, gaming servers, and even installed a backup plugin, Duplicati. I haven't fully figured it out yet since it doesn't show all available files and folders I need. Right now my Minecraft server runs like magic. I even went the extra mile and created a landing page for all my game servers, but it didn't stop there. For Minecraft there is a plugin called DinMap. It lets you view the world map right in your browser. The problem was that DinMap works over HTTP and it refused to load on my HTTPS secured page. Thankfully the issue was quickly resolved using Cloudflare tunnels. I managed to route the HTTP traffic to HTTPS on a specific port and it worked. I even created a custom overlay for the map so it can be viewed directly on a single page. I think it looks pretty cool. Then I took it a step further and added real-time server status to the landing page. It checks the server every few minutes through a special API that pulls all the data. If the status is online, users can see its status and even the number of players currently connected. If it's offline, it just shows offline. I wanted to do the same for CoreKeeper, but that turned out to be too complicated for me. Since CoreKeeper has limited server functionality, I would have had to create some kind of custom scripts that write the server status into a separate file, like true or false. Then I would need to figure out a way for my web page or backend to read that file and display the appropriate status. But I thought, nah, it's not worth the effort right now, so I shelved this idea. Overall, I'm satisfied with the results so far. The only problem I've consistently faced while running Minecraft on the base tier plane was performance drops and server freezing. Turns out the Intel Xeon CPU has just one thread per core, which caused severe lag. I had to optimize the server with some plugins, but they didn't help much. So eventually I upgraded to a more powerful plan for €6 per month. That's basically all I can tell about Minecraft. As for Core Keeper, I had zero issues. I just applied a Docker Compose file and everything worked out of the box. The only downside is that the game doesn't support much customization. You can't even set up a whitelist or a custom password to join. Any player with the game ID can enter my server, which isn't very secure. Maybe I'll spin up another game server someday, something like Black Mesa with a co-op mod, or my custom Wrath of the Lich King 3.3.5a server that I've had lying around since 2009, or maybe host Valheim. The options are endless, as long as the motivation and demand are there. Besides game servers, I also run a few other interesting services on my VPS. One of them is a file converter I set up called ConvertX. This thing is lightning fast and high quality. I can convert not just documents but also videos. I don't use it all that often, but it has come in handy a couple of times, especially since I work with lots of content and files in different formats. Doing all that manually would take forever. Because of NDAs and confidentiality, I can't use third-party software. That's why I deployed my own private service. I also had plans to run a language model on my PC or VPS using Ollama and WebUI, but those models are extremely resource hungry, and to be honest, they don't perform as well as ChatGPT, Gemini or Claude when it comes to real-world tasks. Moving next, a must-have service for any VPS is monitoring. So I installed Firzj. I hope I pronounced that right. It's a fairly simple monitoring dashboard that lets me track CPU usage, memory, Docker container load, disk space and network activity. I can also search for data on specific containers. It turned out to be fast and reliable, and the best part is that Firzj is lightweight. It only uses about 50 megabytes of RAM. Inside the dashboard I also set up webhook notifications for my Discord server, but for now I haven't really needed them. That's all I can add here. The next useful service is the 3x UI panel, which runs on top of V2Ray X-Ray Core using the VLS and VMS protocols to provide traffic access for clients. I had already experimented with installing X-Ray on my Android smartphone, so I initially deployed that on my VPS. But I wanted more, a proper dashboard that would let me quickly create additional user profiles. Surprisingly, this service turned out to be one of the most stable and reliable I've used. I didn't need to configure anything extra or even read the documentation. The only things I did were change the default password and enable two-factor authentication. Personally, I barely used 3x UI. It is mainly for my friends and relatives abroad who need unlimited access to websites with regional restrictions. This VPN might come in handy for me later as a more secure way to access my server and add an extra layer of protection against attackers. The next interesting service that I use for blogging is Postis. Postis helps manage my social media. X.com, Threads, Reddit and Telegram. Instead of logging into each platform separately, I can schedule posts and view analytics from a single dashboard. You can also connect other platforms like LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram or Facebook, but for now I don't need those. The downside of Postis is its setup. It is not exactly intuitive. Just adding your account in the dashboard isn't enough. For each platform I had to create an application, bind an API and insert secret keys into a config file. Another downside is its high memory usage. This is my top RAM consumer after my Minecraft server. That said, if you are low on resources, you can just keep it off and turn it on only when needed. And one of the main reasons I deployed VPS in the first place was to run N8N. For those who don't know what it is, N8N is a powerful automation tool that lets you connect services and automate repetitive tasks. Before this I tried ifTTT, Zapier and Make, but they were limited in functionality and required paid subscription I couldn't afford. With self-hosted N8N, that's no longer an issue. I can create trigger nodes to initiate workflows, like when a message is received or a file is modified. Action nodes perform tasks like calling APIs. You can also link them with logical nodes to create complex conditional workflows. At first, it all sounds complicated, and yes, the setup can be overwhelming for beginners. I would say N8N isn't the most beginner-friendly tool, but it absolutely gets the job done. However, N8N has a detailed documentation, strong community, and their website also features ready-made templates for all kinds of tasks. Most of my issues with N8N were related to WebSocket, HTTPS setup, and linking various workflows together. But after reading a ton of documentation and watching countless YouTube videos from creators, everything eventually made sense. With this tool I can automate pretty much anything I want, but I don't see any reason to automate absolutely everything. For example, one guy on YouTube showed his workflow that automates all incoming emails on his Gmail account. As he explained, he was getting a lot of newsletters, social media notifications, and other info he had subscribed to himself. Personally, I don't see the point in creating such a complex scenario just to sort emails. It is much easier to just open the email and unsubscribe or turn off notifications directly in the service. Or take, for example, a workflow that lets you talk to ChatGPT through a Telegram bot instead of just writing prompts directly. It doesn't seem to save any time. All of that just adds extra steps and more hours spent troubleshooting. That's why I decided to focus only on my real tasks that can actually be sped up. Right now I use the service for notifications to weekly grab free games from Epic Games, also when my Minecraft servers backups data, also daily forecast for my city, or when I want to generate and auto post content on my WordPress site with all the appropriate tags, categories, meta descriptions and focus key phrases connected with the REST API. It really simplifies the article writing process, especially when I'm not near a computer. I just send a message to my Telegram bot. I also built a simple OCR workflow to digitize receipts and send them into a database to track my monthly expenses. Testing this workflow took me about a week. I had a pile of receipts from as far back as 2023 and I wanted to standardize them, compare prices, see how much I used to spend and how often I went shopping. Now the whole process is automated. I just send a photo or a PDF of a receipt to my bot and the data gets processed by Gemini and stored in Google Sheets. It is not the most convenient way to work with data, but for now it is good enough. I also had plans to use N8N for automated social media posting, but for now I've got Postis handling that. And one more reason why I still keep Postis installed is its intuitive interface with all my messages shown as a calendar. Another idea I've been exploring is building a script that notifies me about new Twitch drops. Unfortunately, Twitch's API only allows full access to registered game developers and its HTTP responses return unreadable data because the site relies heavily on JavaScript to render content. The only viable option for now is to create a headless browser scraper, one that opens the Twitch drops page like a real user and then extracts only the required text. It is further complicated by the fact that the Twitch drops page requires login and password. Without authorization, it is impossible to view the available campaigns. Still, I think it would be really cool to build a working solution so I could get notified about new drops for games I actually care about without getting distracted or checking Twitch manually. I'm 100% sure that you can generate an income with N8N if you do things right and create the reliable workflows. For example, generating viral videos from trending topics using AI, having them auto-edited and then published directly to TikTok, Instagram or YouTube Shorts. I don't really support anyone doing this because the internet is already flooded with tons of AI copy-pasted nonsense content, but if you don't care about quality or ethics and are only after easy money, then it's for you. Or let's say auto-generating images for photo stock platforms. though that would probably require third-party services with paid subscriptions. Okay, enough with the N8N, you get the idea. This tool is amazing in the right hands. Moving next. Vault Warden is another service I installed on my VPS. I have way too many accounts for various platforms and each one has a different password. Remembering or writing them all down is a huge hassle. This password manager simplifies storing logins and passwords, but something tells me this kind of service is better suited for a local home lab than for a public VPS, just to prevent unauthorized access and avoid data breaches. Unfortunately, the internet is full of bad actors who would love to exploit a system or steal your data for profit or just for fun. Even if you enable 2FA on Vault Warden, I'm sure there are still vulnerabilities that hackers could potentially use to leak your data. As for the other services, I would love to try Homepage, just to have quick access to all my apps instead of using book maps or searching manually. Homepage even looks like a full-fledged dashboard that lets you manage containers and monitor system metrics using widgets. I might also try setting up a lightweight SSG, stands for static site generator, like Hugo, Astro or Jekyll, to host articles or extra content right from my VPS. That would be a great way to try something new and possibly move away from WordPress, since SSGs provide a significant speed boost and they are way harder to hack than traditional WordPress installs. Coolify and other dashboards offer plenty of built-in integrations, but nothing is stopping you from installing other services, including ones you've never even heard of. Honestly, I'm not even sure what else I could deploy on my VPS to squeeze out more value from it. Maybe you have some ideas, let me know in the comments. So yeah, if I look back at my past self, I could have never imagined that one day I'd have my own website, a portfolio page, a YouTube channel, and a VPS. And I did all this on my own. I don't have any IT friends, a team, or techie acquaintances who could drop me a few tips. The only thing I relied on was the power of the internet and my own experience. I guess I'm just a nerd who got stuck with tech, and I really like it. Honestly, I think this is a huge advantage. It helps you stand out from the crowd. Sure, not everyone needs this stuff, but sometimes it is incredibly useful for self-improvement and for keeping up with the latest trends and breakthroughs in technology. My next step is quite clear. Building my own home lab with personal cloud storage, a music library, movies, books, and so on. That will help cut down on subscription costs and allow me to scale even further. Overall, thanks to creating my own VPS, I've learned so many new things, especially about Linux and essential terminal commands. It was an incredible experience. I got so much better at using the command line, understanding how containers work, and troubleshooting random issues. If I had known Linux beforehand, I probably could have avoided some of the problems I encountered. But that's the part of the learning process, right? The online community and AIs were really helpful too. Whenever I got stuck, I found many answers, especially from Gemini with its deep research feature, and of course YouTube videos. I am honestly surprised how many people are into self-hosting, home labs and VPS setups. It is definitely a techie niche and not for everyone, but yeah, I'm really excited about how well everything has turned out. At first I thought I wouldn't even be able to handle the basics, like connecting via SSH or installing a service using just a terminal command. But seeing my VPS and game servers online, this is a real sense of accomplishment, because it was only me who did it. This was definitely worth the effort. Amazing feeling that with just a bit of curiosity and willingness to learn, you can build something advanced and genuinely useful. So if you are thinking about self-hosting, just go for it. Nowadays you don't even need deep technical knowledge. AI and the community are your best knowledge base. And if you are more of a visual learner, YouTube is your friend. I think a great place to start is with an old computer to build a local server, or if you're lucky enough, try creating a VPS using the Oracle Cloud free tier. That is all I wanted to share here. I hope you enjoyed my story. It turns out pretty long and I put in a lot of effort to make this video. Maybe you have your own stories you'd like to share. Let me know in the comments below. I am also open to your suggestions. Thank you for watching and listening. Keep learning, have a nice day and stay safe.